Hey guys, as always, thanks for tuning in. Jay Helmsing here. I'm going to kind of go over two guns that some people might be curious about that I just happened to get my grubby mitts on. That is the Glock 19 Gen 5 Compact, of course, compared to the brand new Smith & Wesson M2.0 Compact, which are, as we talked about, the same size, and they're basically competing for the same market share. So I've done about 1,000 rounds through each of them, and I've been comparing them back to back. So I'm going to kind of give you my thoughts on both of them. Now, the first thing I'm going to point out is I think it's hysterical that I've seen some reviews out there talking about how one of these is bigger than the other. I don't know where. I don't know. So these are they're the same size. Like, they're not. I mean, of course, yeah, they're designed differently, so maybe there's some dimensions here and there that are off, but they're the same size, guys. I mean, there's not, you're not going to be like, oh man, if I just had that extra thousandth of a millimeter that the Glock 19 offers over the M&P Compact. I think it's just silly, okay? So if you have a chance to lay these side by side, you'll see what I'm saying. They're identical guns. They really are. Like, if the challenge was to make the same size gun, they won, okay? So I'm just going to put that out there right out of the gates here. Don't buy one of these because you think it's bigger or smaller than the other one. They're literally, for all intents and purposes, the same size, okay? Now weight, I have noticed the Glock is a bit lighter, okay? And I think it's, people say a couple ounces or something on paper. It's lighter in the hand, and it's lighter unloaded and, of course, loaded as well. So something to consider, I think, if you're just looking for the lightest compact pistol you can get, Glock 19 probably still has the market on that. There are just too many parts in here. That said, this is a valiant effort. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Smith & Wesson, and you probably won't notice the weight difference. I know I definitely wouldn't, but just want to put that out there to kind of clear the air first. When people talk about comparing these two side by side, they're the same gun. I mean, they're like, the sight radius, it's just, they're the same gun. So don't let that affect you. I mean, if you like Smith & Wesson, go with the Smith & Wesson M&P Compact. I can't find anything wrong with it. If you like Glock, go with the Glock 19 Gen 5 if you want. Nothing wrong with either one of them. So that said, I'm having a difficult time trying to figure out which one I prefer, and you can tell I've been really putting some rounds down today. So let's start out with the Glock 19. That's the old standby that kind of created this market. I'm going to tell you some things I've noticed with that gun so far. First off, I want to point out my Glock kiss on my hand here. So it's functioning and shooting just like a Glock. It's giving me that love on the top of my hand here. I'm not one that gets filleted by it or anything, but lets me know I've got it high enough if I start getting those marks, and I'm getting those marks. So it grips just like a normal Glock. You're not going to have an issue pointing this. I don't notice the difference between the finger grooves and having them and not having them. It's grippy. It's a nice feel. It's a nice grippy gun. You're not going to notice this thing moving around a whole lot in the pocket of your hand or anything. So that's nice to see as well. This is probably better for me because I remember specifically several times feeling a cramped feeling with the traditional Gen 3, Gen 4 finger grooves on the Glock. So with this, without the finger grooves, for me, I can kind of get a little bit more spread out, probably a little bit more comfortable overall. So just something to think about if you have larger hands. I wouldn't say it's a make or break, or that you definitely have to go out for the ultimate in ergonomics or anything, because it's a Glock. It's still got flat sides, and it's got this kind of weird Glock grip on there. So something to think about. I will move on next to something I've noticed with the gun. That is barrel wear. So about 1,000 rounds in, this is the type of wear you have. Not too common. Of course, all barrels get that wear in there as they fit into the slide, but especially with a Glock, and I'm kind of thinking that that's because these barrels do fit tighter. Okay, it's a tighter fitting barrel. It's a more accurate style barrel. So it's going to have more wear. I'm not at all concerned with it. That's completely normal, but I just want to point out it's happening a lot faster than you expect to have on a Glock, which typically have more loose tolerances, for the whole reliability thing. So there are some changes in there that are affecting, the barrel a little bit, but I see it as nothing but a bonus. So just wanted to point that out, that it is something that I'm noticing that is happening prematurely compared to other Glocks that you'd see out there. Other than that, reliability has been 100%. I've not had any issues at all, so this tighter fitting tolerance is not affecting that whatsoever. I have noticed a difference in the trigger that I'm going to get into, and that is that the trigger is changing. It has changed over the 1,000 rounds that I've had it, and it's changing in a way you wouldn't expect. So before, you had this real clean take up because you have the more contoured safety plunger in there. And then when it would go to break, when I first got this, it almost swept right through it, almost like a revolver trigger. It just kind of swept right through that. There was no wall. It just maybe a little bit of grit, and just you could faintly feel a wall, and it'd pull right through it. For whatever reason, this wall is becoming more and more pronounced on this gun. So now it's got that much more traditional Glock feel to it. I would say that this is still maybe a hair better because it falls through the wall faster and easier. But with that said, it's got a much more traditional feel to it than it had out of the box. Now, I've heard other people comment that, oh, well, the wall's not there, and, you know, I'd prefer to have the wall and stuff. Well, worry not, because if yours is like mine, it's going to be coming back, okay? So the wall has remade its entry into the trigger. For a lot of people, we like to stage on the trigger, and you're definitely able to do that now, at least in this gun. So just something I want to point out, a difference that I've noticed there with that trigger changing, and I would expect that others are going to be the same way. Now, it's kind of counterintuitive, and I can't tell you why it's doing that, because you'd think as they wear in that maybe the wall would get less and less pronounced, but not the case, okay, at least in this one. I'm going to talk about the ambi slide catch, slide stop, slide release, whatever you want to call or use it for next. The finish is still going away on there, so it hasn't turned to pure silver yet, but the whole thing's kind of getting this silver shine to it. So it's just not a good coating on there. And again, I don't care. I'm more, you know, function over anything else as far as aesthetics are concerned, and it's working great. But it is something, if you're, you know, really concerned with looks and aesthetics of a gun, that's going to probably annoy you. But I take it back. I just started carrying this 2 days ago, so that's not carry wear either. That's just kind of handling and putting it in a gun bag and stuff like that. So it's definitely going to be shiny before long. With that said, the ambi slide catch, slide release, whatever you want to use it for, seems to be a great addition, and here's why. For me, I shoot with a high support hand palm, and when I do that, I have a tendency, especially in Glocks, the way they're laid out, to rest my palm over the top of that and to keep it from locking back on the last round. So when I would, just drop my mag here, grab this real quick. When I would shoot that last round of a mag like this, instead of locking back like it's supposed to, I would have it pinned down slightly, and it would just come back and go back forward. And so I would either find myself firing on an empty chamber, or I'd have to count my rounds or something like that. A lot of people are like that with Glocks, and it just kind of got exacerbated as I moved on to different platforms. I seem to be the worst with Glocks about doing that. For whatever reason, I don't do that much at all with this gun. And I'm not sure if my grip has evolved over time shooting or not, but like I say, if I just blindly put a grip on it, I still have my hand in that area. So I'm kind of thinking it may be the more robust spring in there, more robust design, having to move that larger part may have a little bit to do with it. But I noticed myself, you know, not riding it as much, and I noticed this locking open on the last round a lot more easily than I remember with any of my other Glocks. So I just want to put that out there. It's personal experience, obviously. It may be this gun, it may be my style, it may be the, you know, solar eclipse that just happened. I don't know, but I have noticed that as a difference, so I wanted to point that out in this video. You know, maybe others notice the same, they can report back on it. The Magwell seems to be perfectly functional. It is a fast gun to load without really putting a whole lot of thought and effort into it. It's easy to find the Magwell and to feed it up in there. With that said, when these are loaded with bullets, obviously you have a big bullet here in the back. It's going to be a rounded top, and I have caught it a few times on the inside here, this rear contour for the malfunction clearance. I have caught it in there a couple times. Now, that's not unusual or anything. It's Glock 5 specific, but it's something I wanted to point out because a lot of times it's very fluid and it goes in there very easily with that new Magwell, but sometimes it still gets caught back there. So don't think that it's going to behave like a normal competition Magwell or something. It's not designed that way. It's a nice little flare there, but it's nothing that's you know, really going to aid you in turning this into a competition gun out of the box or anything. So I'm sure they'll make some aftermarket Magwells that just, you know, capitalize on that and kind of clear out these malfunction areas here for more of a competition style. But just as of right now, just be aware of that. Don't buy it before the Magwell. I don't think it's not worth it in my experience. Okay. Other than that, nothing negative to say about the gun. Like I said, I started carrying this yesterday for nothing else, just to kind of mix it up a little bit. So we'll see how it does, and we'll kind of report back with some findings, or if I decide to gravitate toward the platform, or if I just continue to kind of diversify my lineup there. So we'll see what happens. The M&P 2.0 compact has also been completely reliable. I've not had any issues at all with this gun functioning. It points very natural still. Nothing has changed on this. Actually, a lot less has changed on this than has on the Glock. If you'll notice, the barrel don't have a whole lot of crazy wear on it. You can obviously see some marks where the slide has been working on it, but no wear marks or anything in the finish. The trigger hasn't changed, but I'm going to caveat that with telling you that I put the Apex carry kit in this, and that's just because it's phenomenal. If you have the availability to do that in this gun, I don't see why you wouldn't, because it takes an out-of-the-box trigger, which we all know out-of-the-box triggers are kind of meh, and it makes it really a world-class striker trigger. I mean, it is definitely a nice trigger. It has a little bit shorter reset now than the Glock does, and it's just, the wall's there, but all you got to do is breathe on it a little bit hard, and you're coming through the wall. So it's an easy gun to shoot, and it's an easy gun to shoot fast. If you put the full Apex kit in there, you kind of get a more Glock-like return. It's just got a stiffer spring you put in there, so it does replicate what you're probably used to on Glocks if you shoot those with the more stiff return spring in there. Other than that, I don't have anything negative to say about this either, and it's been very difficult for me to compare the two. I guess I have a little bit of barrel wear up here where this barrel's dropping down, but nothing negative to report so far. So that said, this back here, this plug kind of does aid in feeding the mags in a little bit. It's not nearly as intuitive as maybe the Glock is, but it's pretty quick to load mags in. Again, I mentioned the trigger already. We're talking next about comparing the two of them. Get whichever one you like the best. I mean, I can't find a solid reason not to get either one. They're both reliable. They're both accurate. They both feel great. I mean, the Glock's got maybe a little bit more aftermarket support, but the Smith & Wesson's really no slouch in that category either. Get whichever one you like. With that said, I've put them through multiple strings of different stages that I've tried to shoot back to back and see which one I shoot faster. It's a toss-up. I can't shoot either one of them faster consistently with either gun. That said, the same with double taps on steel at 10. I can't find a difference. I was shooting them consistently 0.19 between the taps with no issues at all. I ended up getting the Glock down to 0.16. I ended up getting the M&P down to 0.15 between rounds, both hitting on the steel at 10, and that's 10 yards, not feet, for those of you wondering. But I can't find a difference between the two of them. You could just pick which one you like, train on it, and it's going to be a great gun for you. That's my entire synopsis between these two guns. So I think they both are winners. I think they're both very comparable. I'm not so sure that the Glock upgrades are worth trading in your fleet for all Gen 5s. I wouldn't go that far. It's a nice gun. I'm not going to trade mine in for a Gen 4, I'll tell you that, but I like it. M&P 2.0 compact, I mean, great gun. There's not a whole lot to nitpick on this either, so that's really all I have. I know it's not conclusive, but get whichever one you like. Just find which one fits you better. If you're an M&P guy, get the M&P compact. If you're a Glock guy, get the Glock 19. So that's all I have. Sorry guys, I wish I had some more interesting stuff to tell you, but that's all I got. So appreciate you tuning in, like, subscribe, and all that kind of stuff, and I'll keep these coming at you. Jay Helmsing. Thanks.